Okay, I'm going to call to order Special Finance and Purchasing Committee meeting for Monday, March 2nd, 2020. Roll call, please.
Alderman Moiseo?
Here.
Alderman Kirkwood?
Here.
Alderman Rivera?
Present.
Alderman Seager?
Present.
Alderman Newsome?
Present. Thank you. Approval of the minutes, motioned by Alderman Kirkwood, second by Alderman Turner. Where did he go?
Alderman Turner's not on this committee.
Okay, Kirkwood, Rivera.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Rivera, second by Alderman Seager. To approve the minutes of February 18th, 2020. Are there any questions on this motion? Being none. Public comment. Is there anyone who wants to speak to anything on the agenda? Being none, item A. Motion to authorize the mayor to execute an amendment to an IGA between the City of Waukegan and Lake County relative to 14th Street improvements for a revised amount of $2,204,205.12 to be paid in equal installments over a 5-year period. The first installment of $440,841 will be due May 1st, 2020, and to be paid from the Series 2018 C Water and Sewer Revenue Bonds. Motion by Alderman Seager, second by Alderman Moiseo. Are there any questions?
Do you want to explain to the public a little bit what that, because I mean, if they see on documents it's $155,000 that we approved and now we're talking something different. I mean, I understand it, but I don't think, in case the public has questions.
Who wants to speak to
Mr.
it?
Hewitt, would you like to address the
What happened?
committee?
I could read it, but it'd take a long time. I said I could read it, but it'll take a long time.
Anybody else?
It's just this little blurb right here.
Oh,
Is this working? Probably. Is that working?
yes.
Okay, what question did you have? I was back there, I didn't quite hear it. What would you like to know?
Why the cost went up, because we approved way back in, what was it, 2018, $155,000, but there's been sewer issues that have come up, water and sewer.
Not so much sewer, the water.
The water, right.
Okay.
So can you explain to the public why such a big increase and why we're approving this and what happened?
It goes back to originally when they did the original starting to go into the design, figuring it out. What happened was, the thought was that our water main was on the parkway, okay? And it wouldn't have been an issue. And my predecessors, Nat, said, we're not replacing it, it's not an issue. So after years of them doing what, the basically design, changing things, we found that our actual maps were correct when the road was put in originally, but after they expanded and widened the road 20 years ago, it put our water main in the road, okay? And what they're worried about is if we go to, they're gonna take all the pavement out, all the concrete, and the water main is like 60 or 70 years old. It's transite, and what they're worried about is if they go over it with the vibration and the packing, then it's gonna collapse. So what ended up happening is they want to replace the entire water main. So that's kind of a quick overview of basically what happened. Okay, they're going to be putting ductile in. They've designed everything. It's a good price, and it's one of those. If we pretty much have to replace it, otherwise it may end up failing as they're putting the road in. It's one of those unforeseen problems that we have in the city. Our infrastructure is so. That's the easiest way for me to say it. Any other questions? I mean, we found this out 6 months ago, I believe, 5 months ago? No, 5 months ago. And we were been trying to negotiate and work around it. Maybe we were going to leave it there as a bridge, the concrete there. The county couldn't because of their granting. So it's basically, this is the best we could come up with. All right.
Thank you. I just wanted the
Okay.
public to understand better.
What's that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Are there any more questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Moiseo?
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood?
Aye.
Alderman Rivera?
Aye.
Alderman Seager?
Aye.
Alderman Newsome?
Aye, motion carried. Item B, motion to affirm the CDBG Director's execution of contracts with Integrity Developers Incorporation, the lowest responsible bidder for a total combined amount not to exceed $48,500 for the purposes of rehabilitation services. Motion by Alderman Kirkwood, second by Alderman Rivera. On December 16th, 2019, the CDBG Housing Rehab Program received bids for 421 South Lincoln Avenue in which to engage professional rehabilitation services from qualified and licensed contractors. The work includes the removal and replacement of the roofing of the property. It is recommended that the bid is awarded to Integrity Developers in the amount of $48,500. Are there any questions to this motion?
Okay, I have a question. Was the original bid 38,000? No, 39?
It was the 39.
39, okay.
995.
So the bids that were collected, the 39 was the
Lowest.
lowest, okay. In comparison to the other bids that were collected at the time, does the 48 come in?
So what happened was, so since they were the lowest bidder, and in the bid document, when it went out, it didn't have anything about the performance bond, so that was an additional cost. Initially, we were going to, with the lead items, well, the main thing is, he was a lead contractor. With us, you have to be a licensed lead contractor with the Illinois Department of Public Health, and he was not. So that was the first thing. And then with that, so he had to go out and get a contract with a lead contractor to be able to do the job. The other thing in the bid, where it has lead next to the item. So instead of replacing the door molding, we were not going to replace it. So they were going to have to remove the lead by scraping it, which is a more expensive way of removal because she has like old, nice molding around the doors and the windows downstairs. So that was an additional cost that wasn't decided before. It was like we were going to move it, but it's like, well, no, I want to keep it. So that was an additional cost. And so I included the sheet where we renegotiated prices, and that's what put it up to the $48,500.
Oh, okay, so the previous bids, were any of those contractors certified to remove lead?
Well,
I'm just trying to see if originally we received, let's say, something for $46,000 from a certified lead removal contractor, that would have, taken into account all of this and originally would have come in at a lower bid from our current position.
right. And so, yeah, exactly. Because that's what I was like, well, we'll just move on from him and go to the next person. But because of the situation, him being the lowest and him not understanding, he was a lead contractor through the EPA. However, he was not a licensed lead contractor through the Illinois Department of Public Health. So since that wasn't spelled out to him, he didn't understand that. So that was, that was basically our fault because he didn't get more information. He just assumed him being a lead contractor through the EPA, he was fine to do work with us. And that's not the case.
Okay, and were the other contractors also qualified as lead?
I don't recall the Alliance Builders,
Remediation.
but Phoenix Construction, he is a lead contractor, but I don't know if he's licensed through the state as well.
Well, because it seems that we went out for bids, and I understand the contractor may have, I don't want to say, he misunderstood what the qualifications were, and gave us a bid. But did the other guys understand what the qualifications were? In other words, did his bid come in low because he didn't include the full scope of what the bid was for? And did the other guys include, what he's including now?
Well, the Alliance person, we've never worked with him before. Phoenix, we have worked with him before, but in checking the roster of lead contractors, I don't recall them being on there. This other person, I have no idea who he is. He would have to sign up for the program, do our vetting and all of that to ensure that he was okay. So, yeah, but I totally understand it going over what the bidded prices were here and giving him the job.
Alderman Taylor?
My question has to do with, is this the same builder or guy who has done work with District 60? Integrity. He was smaller, and then he got a bigger job with District 60. Because what I've found in my research is that he's not in good standing with the state.
Well, when we ran him, because we do a SAMS, when we ran his name, we didn't find anything because we do the SIMS program through the federal government, and it was nothing.
This is with the state.
Yeah.
Do we want to run him again, or are we just?
Well, we don't normally look at the state. We look at the feds, the federal, because it's federal money.
Okay.
And so that's what. But yeah, I mean.
Because that's a little concerning to me, and
because I know he's done work with the rehab program in the past.
okay.
And what we've heard, and then the what do you call it? References. They said that he was good, and he did name some organizations, some places. I don't have his application in front of me that he did work for and that he did well. And then before, he had a good reputation before when working with the city. So
The second part of that question is, how much is this house worth?
it's worth like $70,000.
Okay. So we're good. We're putting in a fair amount of money into this now. And will it increase the value of the house or just keep it at the 70,000?
No, it should increase it. I mean, we're removing lead. We're doing, various
Yeah,
different
but that
things.
doesn't necessarily bring you more money. That's just fixing what's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, adding a new roof, that's going to add more value to your home.
Right.
They need to do that. New bathroom, different things that we're doing in a home.
Okay. Those are my questions.
I have a question. Now, when we gave this job to Integrity, were they awarded the bid, and then after they were awarded the bid, we found out that we had to add these additional costs to
Yes.
it? So that was like secondary
Right.
to them. Could we have pulled the bid from them and then tried one of the other bidders to see if,
I'm sure we could have, but I think we might have had a problem with, we're the lowest bidder. How come we didn't get the job? Blah, 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 blah. As opposed to skipping them and going to the next one. Because that was my next thing. I would just want to skip them and go to the next one, dealing with
well,
all of the issues.
the lowest responsible bidder that,
Yeah,
that could do the work
yeah.
and do it
Phoenix-
at
The next lowest person, like I said, I don't know them. I don't know their history. I don't know anything about them.
they've never done any work in the city of Waukegan?
No.
Okay,
No, it's just because we listed on a website, so
okay.
all people, is open to bid on it, but they're not registered with our program. I don't
Okay.
believe they're licensed with the city. All of that I wouldn't have been able to pull from. And Phoenix, his work is
questionable.
We've had problems
Yes.
with him, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Was that
there
was that Phoenix that was involved with Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Did you have a question, Alderman Seager?
Yes, ma'am. Approximately how old is this house?
No idea.
I don't remember those things off the top of my head. I would need to, should have brought the whole folder. But I'm not sure.
It's
I know it's old.
Yeah, it's got to be in the 1920s, specifically with the location it's in on Lincoln Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah, so it's got to be 100 years old.
I thought it was like 1927 off the top of my head, but I'm not sure.
That sounds right.
Okay, are there any more questions? Roll call, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. Item C, motion to affirm the building commissioner's execution of contracts with Dan Dean's Investment, Howell Enterprises LLC, and Packet Pollard Construction, respondents to a public bidding process for individual amounts estimated to be $83,334 and a total combined amount not to exceed $250,000 for the purposes of rehabilitation services performed under the Illinois Housing Development Authority Abandoned Residential Property Municipal Relief Program, AAP, Round 4 grant. Motion by Alderman Rivera, second by Alderman Seager. The City of Waukegan uses private maintenance companies to maintain the safety and welfare of the neighborhoods within the City of Waukegan. The Waukegan Building and Code Department requests to extend our current contracts until 7/23/2021 with Dean Investments, Dan Dean Howell Enterprises LLC, and Pollard Construction to July 23rd, 2021, marks the end of the 8th quarter in the Illinois Housing Development Authority Round 4 funding. Are there any questions to this motion? Alderman Taylor.
I know when we did the sidewalks, I believe that is the same person that's in one of these. That was D-Land Construction. Is that,
This is not D-Land.
no, but
No.
is it owned by the same person? No, okay. So these are all going to be done equally? Like, no one person's going to have all of the money on this?
Yeah, so if you might remember when we did this last year, so we went out to bid and there was respondents, so we split it up. There's 3 that we split up between the 9 wards.
Okay.
They each get a specific ward to work on with the grass cutting and board up and maintenance of abandoned homes, basically.
Now, how much do we pay for boarding up?
It all depends how bad the property is, how many windows or doors, so it can vary.
Okay.
We have a standard list inside your packet.
Yeah,
with
I
the-
just heard a little bit different number, so I just wanted to check. So we do stick to that standard?
Yes.
Okay.
Any more questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Kirkwood.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. Item D, motion to approve an ordinance certifying zoning calendar 2596, text amendment to section 3.13 fees of the Waukegan zoning ordinance regarding application fees for medical and recreational cannabis establishments. Motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Seager. The City of Waukegan, the city's Department of Planning and Zoning has requested amendment to Article 3, Section 3.13 fees of the zoning ordinance and zoning calendar 2596 to assign an application fee when applying for conditional use permits for any medical or recreational cannabis business establishments. This is following the passage of an ordinance providing comprehensive zoning regulations regarding the siting and placement of adult-use recreational cannabis business as identified in Section 4.18-2 of the Waukegan zoning ordinance. The establishment of this new application fee has been calculated to help offset and recoup the costs expended for these reviews, as well as the cost of all statutorily required public notifications. Are there any questions to this motion, Alderman Rivera?
I personally don't have enough information to make a decision on this, and I'd like to see is there any way that we can table this, only because I would like to find out what other communities are charging. Illinois just passed this law, and California and Colorado, other places have been dealing this for quite a while. I believe that we need to do just a little bit more research, find out what these communities are doing, and see if we can mirror, and if we're even close to what they're doing, or if we're too far ahead.
Noel?
Sure. We have not done a significant amount of research about what other communities are doing in terms of conditional use permit fees. We did, however, we had adopted the medical cannabis back a number of years ago when it was approved by the state. And the fee that we had on our books for that was $5,000 for an application fee for a conditional use permit. We did not adopt new fees for recreational cannabis at the time that we passed the ordinance several months back. And my staff and I felt that it would be appropriate for the fees to be consistent between recreational and medical cannabis. In reviewing our internal costs and time, we felt the $5,000 was excessive. But $2,500 is more likely an appropriate fee for the work that we do. We do need to do a certified mailing to every property owner within 250 feet of the application location, as well as a legal notice in the newspaper. And then we need to review internally with our staff as well as all of the other impacted departments. So there's staff time involved in that too. So that was how we came to that number, though we did not compare with other communities.
I know I'm technically not on this committee.
No problem.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Sorry, I know I'm technically not on this committee, but I did some research on the casino applications, and some communities charged $500,000 for their casino applications. We charged $2,500 or $25,000. So just because it's only going to cost us so much to do it, I don't think we should limit ourselves on what we charge these people. They're going to be making a ton of money off of this. And for a community like ours that needs money, I think we should think of $25,000 or something. I mean, it's one of the ways we can get money where we don't have to get it from our residents.
I do understand that. The casino is different than this. This is an application fee. And so as a fee for an application for a conditional use permit, there has to be some correlation between what we're charging and what it's actually costing us to do the work. We can't just pick a number that's extremely excessive in order for us to make money. It's not a tax, it's a fee for our costs.
But what about the permit fee then, though? Won't we be able to charge more
Noel,
for it?
am I right in understanding this is a fee for an application which would be different than a fee for an actual license?
Yes. The
That's the
license fee would
difference.
be a different thing.
You could say you're going to charge $100,000 for the application fee. They're going to walk right across the street to the courthouse, and the judge is going to say, have you lost your mind? This is an application fee. It's not a license.
It is a different kind of fee, yes, absolutely.
But we could charge more for the license.
I'm not your legal counsel, so I'm not going to advise on that. That's not under my purview, but I believe that that's a different arrangement, yes.
Will we be in trouble if we charge $5,000 for the medical and now we're reducing it to $2,500 for the recreational?
I don't think that there's any trouble there. At that time, when we selected 5,000, it was completely unknown what would be involved in a review. We ended up not getting any licensed medical cannabis growers or distributors, so we never had an application. But we've gotten better at evaluating what our actual costs are. After seeing what has happened with medical cannabis in other communities, we have a sense of the kind of objections that we might get and that kind of thing, and we think that it's not as excessive as we had thought at that time that it might be. And since the state has approved it on a statewide basis, we just feel that it's not as negatively impactful as we once thought it would be. So we feel that $2,500 is a more reasonable amount, and we don't see a reason to differentiate between recreational and medical cannabis at this point in time. Certainly not to have medical cannabis being higher cost
Yeah.
for the application fee. But our review is the same,
Yeah.
and our publication requirement is the same, whether it's recreational or medicinal.
I have a question. So do you think that the $50,000 that we had previously for the medical marijuana?
5,000.
I mean, 5,000?
Yes.
Okay, 50, okay, let's raise it. Okay. 5,000 was a deterrent for people not wanting to come to Waukegan?
We definitely had people who wanted to come to Waukegan. The state did not award any licenses for anyone to come to Waukegan
Oh, okay.
for medical cannabis. We had several people that wanted to locate their medical cannabis businesses here at that time.
So you think it would be a problem to raise it or to go back to the 5,000 for either medical or recreational?
We could do
You
some
just
more
say-
homework on trying to hash out the fees a little more. It is significantly higher than our other application fees, and we do expect for cannabis, it will be more work in most cases, not necessarily that much more, but we can certainly look at it and see if it makes sense to raise it. One of the reasons that we're bringing this forth now is that some of the state licenses will be issued in the next couple months, so we do expect to see conditional use permit applications here. We have been asked to complete the zoning forms for a number of different businesses, which is part of the state application. Just saying that we have, this person or this group has interest in a Waukegan location. We have local regulations that govern it, that kind of thing. It doesn't approve anything. As you know, we have a conditional use permit requirement. So it's not approving anything for them, but it's just saying we're aware of their application and the location that they want to go, kind of thing. So we know that there is interest. We know there will be applications for here if somebody gets a state license.
Well, can we bring it back at the next meeting?
Hold it and bring it back? You can do anything you like. You're the governing board. My preference would be that you approve something tonight so that if we get an application in the interim, we know what we can charge them. And you can always adjust that later on, but it's your decision to make, not mine.
When is the state going to begin receiving the applications?
They've already started. The first
started.
applications were due in January.
Okay,
The second round of applications, I believe, are due at the end of this month. So I
Okay.
think the January ones are issued in May, and the March ones are issued in July, I believe.
May and July are the cutoff days then.
Well,
This is
you
just a special meeting, right?
We'll have a Finance and Purchasing Committee meeting on Monday, May 16th, or I'm sorry, March
March 16th?
16th.
Yeah.
Just a point of clarification since it came up. It is my understanding that the city is prohibited from having a license fee other than our general business license, or am I misunderstanding that when I raised that question?
I'm not an expert on that either. I'll defer to Corporation Counsel.
he left the room.
And
But
Corp
since
Counsel
that-
Durando has read every page of the 600 and some pages of that state statute.
We do not currently have on the books a separate cannabis licensing fee, like we do a liquor license or a gaming license. So as it stands today, all they would be paying for would be a general business license.
So maybe we
So
should,
since that
This-
came up,
remember, this is the state's ball of wax. We just approved whether they could come in Waukegan and sell it. Pretty much everything is governed by the state. I don't know that we want to get jammed up with an application fee.
I'm not suggesting we do.
I just think
wanted
it's,
to clarify
yeah.
because it came
I
up.
mean, we can
that
always
could
adjust the
have a
application
separate-
fee down the road if we find, and remember, I think the state's not going to put 20 marijuana shops in Waukegan. We're going to be lucky if we get 2. So it's not like they're going to put 20 here.
This
That's just
fee
not
is-
going to happen.
yeah, This fee is specifically for zoning,
Zoning,
This
yeah.
is
Yeah.
not for.
And you have to be able, I'm not a judge, but I would assume that you would have to be able to justify your cost for the application fee. You can't overcharge for an application fee, a judge is going to say, why are you charging that much money for an application fee?
Yes, we have to have some basis for it. That's correct.
Sure, and I think it would only be fair if we were to do a little bit of research and see what other communities are doing.
Yeah, though other communities may have different costs than we do because of personnel costs and that kind of thing. So it's not necessarily apples to apples comparison.
Okay, Ken, I'd like to hold it to the 16th, March 16th, and if we get any, do you think we'll get any applications prior to the next couple weeks?
It is possible. I have a zoning form on my desk that came in today, but I don't believe that the state is issuing any licenses until May.
And as it was indicated, I don't think we're going to have a slurry of these, so I think we should get it right the first time, rather than to, just throw something out there and then find out, okay, we only got 2 applications.
My only fear is the communities are what, us and Beach Park have approved it, right?
Oh, there are a number more than that.
But I mean, in
Winthrop Harbor has.
Winthrop Harbor has.
Beach Park.
Zion has.
So.
North Chicago has
some-
for dispensaries.
someone puts an application into all of those communities, and the state says, okay, you guys can go with any one of those 3, and they come back and say, what's your license, what's your application fee, what's yours, you guys ain't got one, get out of here, I'm going there.
Theirs might be.
And let them go, and let them leave. Let them go up to Beach Park or to Winthrop Harbor and get all the tax dollars up there?
Well, I think there could be a variety of variables, that being one of them, obviously. But again, it would be to our advantage to do our due diligence when it comes to stuff like this.
Sure, I'm not opposed to doing some research on that.
Being devil's advocate.
I'd like to bring it back in 2 weeks in our regular finance.
I doubt.
Sure. And I do believe Tina's correct, but I'll check with Corporation Counsel on the licensing as well.
Okay, all right. Could be. All right, we'll bring that back as old business in 2 weeks. Item E, motion to approve the City of Waukegan's 2020 share of Fountain Square of Waukegan Common Area expense budget and allocation of $80,249. Is that the one that changed?
Right, so we need to, there's actually $5,936 in South Access Road expenses that I neglected to include in the total. So the motion does need to be amended to read $86,185 instead of the $80,249.
What did I do with my agenda?
What is the amount, Tina?
Can you get
It's
that amount
item
again?
E,
86,
$86,185. That's for item E.
It is in bold print in the staff report and the staff memo.
I missed it, sorry.
It's okay. No, I'm just saying so where they can see the number instead of just hearing it.
So
There were a lot of numbers in that paragraph.
the motion will, I'm going to take a motion by Alderman Kirkwood, second by Alderman Rivera. To approve a change in the amount from $80,249 to $86,185. Roll call?
Alderman Kirkwood,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Seager,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye, motion carried. So now the motion is to approve the City of Waukegan's 2020 share of the Fountain Square of Waukegan Common Area expense budget and allocation of $86,185 to be paid in quarterly installments. I'm going to take the same motion by Alderman Kirkwood, second by Alderman Rivera. The City of Waukegan is part of a group which maintains the common areas and access roads expenses at Fountain Square. The city's share of the cost is relative to the city's ownership of approximately 30 acres of land within the development in accordance with the Common Area Maintenance, CAM, agreement. The Fountain Square Common Area Maintenance terms were established by the First Amendment Declaration of Protective Covenants, Conditions, Restrictions, and Easements for Fountain Square of Waukegan in 2005. Attached are the worksheets submitted by Fountain Square Waukegan LLC showing the budget projections for 2020. The prior year's history report and the breakdown of allocations by each member of the common areas are also included. Are there any questions to this motion?
Well, if we sell this, are we off the hook on this?
Yes, sir. This is like a homeowners association, so only the owners there have the obligations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tina, how much does this cost us a year?
Well, just this part is 86,000. Do you mean the Fountain Square property?
Yeah.
So we also have outlay of 112,000 for the special assessment that runs with the land, is the owner of the land. And then, you know, there's arguably other costs such as lost tax revenue, et cetera.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any more questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Kirkwood? Aye. Alderman Rivera?
Aye.
Alderman Seager?
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo?
Aye.
Alderman Newsome?
Aye, motion carried. Reports and communications, discussion of parking lot rental rates. You want to do the reports, or you want me to
Sure.
read it?
Commander
Or the
Beach?
Commander Beach.
We've been approached on more than one occasion of groups that are interested in renting either an entire lot or the parking garage. And if there is some language that's very, very specifically about events at the Genesee Theater and a per-rate fee to do that, but there was nothing really addressing this that was codified. So we just wanted to get some input, and Commander Beach did a lot of research on it and has made some recommendations.
Some of the other issues that we run into with this is when we have some of these events that are held in some of our private lots in the city, we don't have any type of charging rate for them, so we want to make something that's fair and equitable across the board.
So,
Alderman Rivera.
I'm sorry, just one question. So when you say we're approached by, who approaches us to rent?
So we've had,
just as an example.
we had someone that had an event in the building across from the Genesee Theater, and they wanted to use one of our parking lots and just reserve it for the people that were going to that event. We couldn't really do that because we didn't have any method or any way that we could do that. Another, we were asked for the parking lot that is behind or just south of the now CLC parking garage. They wanted to use that lot, take up that whole lot because they want to do some construction in that lot and use that lot. So we don't have any method to be able to allow that as it stands. Those Cinco de Mayo events that we have, Fiesta Patria, some of these different events that are going on that if they're not sponsored, co-sponsored by the city.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Taylor.
I want to say, I thought the research you did on this was outstanding. It's one of the times that I think the aldermen have all the facts there, and I just want to say thank you for doing this. It was one of the best reports I've seen, so thank you.
I had quite a bit of help.
Yeah, but the group that worked on this, thank you, because I think it was very informative and it was well done.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions?
Well, we were looking for feedback to know if we should then put this
Yes.
in the form so that it can be
Absolutely.
codified.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We didn't want to bring it forward as an ordinance and then have it tabled or, you know.
No, it's buttoned up, in my opinion.
I thought it was very well done.
All right, thank you.
I just have one question. You know, when CLC finishes their building project in the next couple of years, how will that impact, you know, are we going to be doing some sharing in terms of their garage use?
Well, they purchased the garage they now own from the city of Waukegan.
Right, but will we be able to utilize that on days that there is no classes for special events?
Oh, I see. I
Have
don't
we
know
approached
we
that
had
situation down the road? You know, like this past Friday, there was a gospel concert at Genesee. It was sold out. There was no parking anywhere in the city close to the area. So people were parking all over the place on Friday night. So if we could have utilized the CLC garage, it would help that overflow on Friday night. So when we have, situations like that, we need to be able to use every parking to our use.
Yeah,
So I
that's a
think we
great
need
problem to have.
I think
Yeah.
we need to, yeah.
No, it is a good problem.
agreed.
That, and we could also talk to Lake County about
Okay.
using their garage as well. So that's something we can follow up with both Lake County and College of Lake County.
Okay, good.
Right. We like having too many people downtown, right? Well, the police might not. The finance
No, I love
department
it. I
does.
love it. I love it.
All right, come hungry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to take that was it, right? All right, I'll take a motion by Alderman Moiseo, second by Alderman Kirkwood, to adjourn at 6:19 PM. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.